a little trip with me, and hopefully you can see how the hood, suburbs, and Main Street are all connected. Enough respect, we network across the globe, cause it's a global market in case you didn't know. And since we all about information flow, let me be the first one to welcome you to Tech Zone with Paul Amadeus Lane. Let's talk tech, cause technology changing the game. It's all good in the hood, it's everywhere. Now let's get to the show, cause we live on air, yeah.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the Tech Zone. I am your czar of technology and host of the Tech Zone, Paul Amadeus Lane. I'm so happy to have you join me today. Coming up on our show, we're going to talk about a technology that will help mitigate some of the problems ones who take medication may have with either over-medicating or not having the right type of medication. You don't want to miss that coming up in our last segment of the show. Segment of the show, Diversity in Tech. We're going to be talking to one of the smartest people I know when it comes to startup companies. Wow, her story is amazing. She's going to talk about venture capitalism, venture capitalists, and all the great stuff when it comes to startup tech companies or startup companies. So you don't want to miss that coming up in our second segment of the show. But we're going to start our show this way. There was an announcement that came out earlier this week. The announcement was E3. Now, many of you who follow me know I've been following this, covering this for years. Well, for the first time, they're going to open their doors to the public. What does that mean? And joining me right now is my homeboy. We're talking about executive editor at the Coalition and host of the Throwdown Show, Tony Polanco. What's going on, bro? How you doing?
Oh, man, how you been, brother?
Man, you know, it's like Jack told Helen, man. I ain't no telling. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about.
You know, back on the Tech Zone, man. Let's do this.
Hey, you know it, man. And I mentioned it earlier in the introduction of why I wanted you on. This is like where Harry met Sally, because this is like where you and I met. We met at E3 a couple of years ago.
That's right.
And we hit it off ever since. And the news broke yesterday that now they're going to open it to the public, 15,000 tickets they're going to offer and everything. And Tony, I want you to give it to me raw. Let me know how you feel about it. And then I'm going to give you my take too, man. So let me know what's on your mind.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I heard this. I can hear myself, by the way. Okay. There we're good. We're good. So this news dropped like before I even woke up, you know what I'm saying? So people, I was looking at my phone, people were asking me about it and stuff. So I was like, oh man, they're opening this up to the public. Now here's the thing, and Paul, I know you can vouch for this, right? Every year for the last maybe 3 years, they've been opening it up more and more to the public, right? Last year they had this thing called E3 Live. It was just right outside the convention center, and a bunch of fans showed up, right? I think they had about 800 or 1,000 people that year, right? And every single year that this has been happening, it's been getting harder and harder for like us, like journalists to get their job done. I'm not talking about guys like IGN, GameSpot, Polygon. They're fine. They're so top tier. They don't need to worry about that stuff. Guys like us, like middle of the road dudes, like we make a living off of this, right? But we're not top tier like that. We got to wait through all the crowds and stuff. And then in me and Paul's case, we're in wheelchairs. So that makes it a little bit even more difficult, right? It was already kind of brutal with 1,000 extra heads there, right? Now we're going to get more than 10 times that amount in the convention center. I'm like, I don't know, man. I really don't think that's a wise idea. I mean, like the whole thing with E3 is like journalists go there and we give, our professional take on games, right?
Absolutely.
What's the point of us doing our job if these people get to come in and play games on their own? There's a lot of things I want to say about this. Right now, I want to talk about the reason why this is happening, right? I think, the ESA, they feel that E3 is becoming less relevant due to shows like PAX and Gamescom, where they do allow fans to come in, right? And let's just be completely honest, and I am not trying to diss these dudes. Game companies like to go for YouTube guys because they're a little bit easier to sway, right? Like, me and you, Paul, like we're journalists and we have to adhere to a strict code of conduct, right? We have to be as impartial as possible, right?
Absolutely.
YouTube cats, they don't need to adhere to that stuff. They're just regular fans, right? And if you give them a little payola, not like literal cash, but I'm talking about like, hey,
Mhm.
we're gonna send you free stuff. They're more willing to go. Oh, I got a free game. I better be nice to these companies so they can give me more stuff. We're not like that. If they give us free games, it's like, okay, I'm gonna review this either positively or negatively, right? But with those YouTube guys, they can get, they're more guaranteed a more positive thing. So they're allowing more of these guys in, but now they're taking it to a whole other level by just letting regular fans into it completely, right? And I really feel that it's going to impact like the convention center itself, and it's going to impact the reporting that we could do, because now we can't do as much. Think about this. My first E3 that I went to was 2013, right?
Mhm.
I was able to play like 12 games. I had no appointments that year. I was able to easily go on the show floor, play around 10 games, and just went ham. Then the year after that, 2014, I was with Dual Shockers. I got to like play 18 games. It was a mix of appointments and just me rummaging around, right? Then 2015, less games because more bigger lines. Last year, 2016, I'm at geek.com now. I'm getting paid for this stuff, right? I barely got to play any games last year, bro. I think I played 8 games, and I had appointments just for the sheer fact that you had these monster lines. I don't think it's good, man. Like, I'll give a solution a little bit later on, but I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, here's my thing, and I agree with you too. See, companies think they're slick, and this is where the slickness come in. They don't want to spend a lot of money on ad dollars. So what they do is they get these YouTubers and these fanboys out there who have these humongous following, and for $80 for a game, they're able to reach several thousand people that they wouldn't be able to reach anyway. So I think this is my take on it too, that they're looking at the bottom line. And last year, you remember a couple of years ago, Activision had a huge exhibit, and last year they just had a little loft upstairs where they were showing Call of Duty, and you're sitting there and you're like, wow. And this is the problem I have with it. I have no problem with fanboys doing a thing and wanting to learn certain things, but I kind of like your take on it, what you put on the YouTube you put out. They should have certain days where fans can go and where journalists can go, because I know CES does it. I just covered CES in Vegas last month. Now, the first 3 days of CES is all media. We're going to press conferences. We're going to keynote addresses, strictly for the media. And then by the time the shows start, you got enough content. You can come home if you want to. You don't even have to stay there the next 3 to 4 days. And I think E3 should definitely do that. But it's all about the bottom line. Some of the big heads are not doing the big exhibits. So now they're saying, hey, $250, or if you get your tickets earlier, $149, $150. And here's the thing. How many people got $250 to shell out for a ticket? That's what I want to know. I want to see a family of 4 drop $1,000 going to E3. They complain about dropping $500 going to see the rat at Disneyland. So I think the price is too high, Tony. I understand that it's going to be a lot of people there, but I don't think it's going to be as much as we think, because the price is too high, man.
Yeah, here's the thing, just to add to that, right? Let's just say you got a family, right? Family of 4, that's $1,000. That's just to get in. You got to talk about travel there, planes probably, hotels. It's a lot of money for the regular person. So maybe they won't reach the capacity, but at the same time, there's going to be cats out there that are willing to shell out all that money. You know what I'm saying? So, well, it'll still be a lot of people, but it definitely is a lot of money. So I guess that's how, they're capping this thing, because it's not like going to PAX, we have to pay like $30, $50 or whatever, right? This is a lot of money. But again, I don't know, man. But I do want to go to something you said, which is something I said. That would be the perfect solution, because for those who don't know, E3 is always held from Monday to Thursday. Monday is the press day, right? Then Tuesday through Thursday are, press days again, right? But in the actual convention center. This is what I propose. Monday through Thursday, you have it for guys like us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Strictly journalists, no fans, right? Then Friday through Sunday, you get the fans in there, because again, I need to stress this, and I know you're going to agree with me, Paul. I have no problems with fans coming to E3. I think It's actually a good thing. It's a good thing, right? Just not when we're there. That's all I'm saying,
No, you're right, because, them being there, it gives us opportunity to maybe interview some fans if we want to, get their takes on it. So we can definitely see the benefit of it. Like you said, the problem comes in, we'll try to mix in the journalists, also the ones from the industry in there. And, I just don't want it to turn into another Comic-Con. Because you look at Comic-Con and journalists and fans together. I mean, it is like a madhouse. I mean, you go to the one in New York, I go to the one in San Diego, and it is ridiculous sometimes. So, I think this is going to be a test subject right here. So we'll see how it goes because LA Convention Center is not as big as San Diego Convention Center. You can have a lot of people at San Diego Convention Center, but an extra 15,000 people at LA Convention Center? Are you kidding me? It's crazy enough as it is, Tony, when we're there.
Yeah, no, bro. I was thinking about that too. I'm like, hold on, man. Like, I don't think that place is gonna hold that many people comfortably. I'm pretty sure we could all get in there, but we're gonna be like sardines. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. And I have this theory, right? One of my friends, I want to give him a shout out real quick. Khalif Adams from Spawn on Me podcast, brilliant podcast. He brought up this point. I didn't even consider this because in my mind it was like, okay, it's gonna be a mess, from organizational, standpoint, right? He said, hey, what happens when one of these fans does something like I guess like inappropriate. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Stealing stuff, maybe harassing a developer. I think if that happens, they're gonna shut this whole thing down. Not for for us. Next year it'll be back to press again. If a fan does something crazy, it's over. I guarantee you that.
I agree, and that's a very, very good point. I didn't even think about that because fanboys get crazy sometimes.
Oh, I'm telling you, son, it ain't no joke out there, man. And here's the thing, we've heard stories about like actual journalists doing some shady stuff. I know a bunch of years ago, right? Like an independent guy, he stole some stuff, like just stole the whole thing. I'm like, yo, or how it's gonna stop a regular person from doing that? They may hit, they may be entitled, like, hey, I paid $250 for this, man. I'm taking something with me,
Absolutely, and this is what I'm hoping too, Tony, and they do this good at Comic-Con and also CES. They always give journalists priority. And I hope they do that here this time because they know it's going to be hard for us to do any kind of interviews, any kind of write-ups. And hopefully they'll institute that because I think, man, if they don't, it could be a madhouse. And I'm hoping that the media days that we go to on Monday, I'm hoping that they don't open that to fans because that will just, to me, that's not where fans need to go. That's our sacred day. That's where we go. We go there to find out what's going on. That's their appreciation for the media, for what we do in covering gaming and technology. And I'm hoping, Tony, that they don't open that to fanboy. I really don't.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do have good news for you on that front. It seems like the tickets only cover Tuesday through Thursday. So I think we're good for Monday. Here's the thing, somebody brought this up too, right? He was like, okay, fans may not have tickets for Monday, but that's not going to stop them from showing up regardless, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, officially on the record, they're only going to be there for the actual LA Convention Center part, not the other places we usually go to for like EA and Microsoft and Sony. They're not going to those, so there is that level of separation, but I still think like at least give us one day on the show floor,
Absolutely.
But they're not doing that, man.
Absolutely, but I'm hoping they take care of us. And we don't want you at our Sony PlayStation press day. We don't want you in our alcohol. We don't want you in our fried chicken sandwiches that we get, and our tacos and all that other good stuff. We don't want you to be there. That's just for us, all right? We don't mess with y'all when y'all on your real job, so leave us alone. But
that's some true stuff right there, bro.
I remember comedian Robin Harris, and he was a stand-up comedian here in L.A., and like people would heckle him sometimes. He'd be like, "Quit messing with me." He said, "I don't be messing with you. You be moving those trash cans at your job."
He
used to be funny with it, man. But it's gonna be interesting, Tony. What's gonna happen leading up to, because more announcements gonna come, because some of the major news organizations are gonna be like, well, I'm not gonna send my guys out there. If they're not able to get the story without having all these people around, I think it's gonna cause a little drama. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I actually, speaking about that, I was talking to my man, Richard Bailey. He's the editor-in-chief of the Coalition. He was telling me that he's worried that, and I'm just going to be completely honest with everybody, right? Independent sites have a hard time getting a good amount of writers in, right? Because space and everything. So he's like, will having all these extra heads make it so they're going to cut the limit of, independent sites? Like, for example, Coalition was able to bring in 4, heads last year. Well, they go, hey, due to crowd size, we can only bring 2 guys this year. That's a real concern, man.
That really is, and that's why your suggestion, man. Hopefully they'll listen to it and they'll comply. I know last year, like we got in about almost 10 people throughout the whole station because we had another crew there. My crew was there, and I'm wondering what it's going to be this time. But yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting, Tony. And gosh, so before I let you go, my man, why don't you let everybody know how they can connect with you, follow your podcast, and some of the great writing you do over there with the coalition.
All right, so you can, the main portal is always, Twitter, I believe. Yeah, there it is. It's right there at Rami Death, right? I have links to geek.com, right, where I write the majority of my stuff. Over on the coalition, I post the Throwdown podcast, and you could also find the podcast on YouTube. Lately, you can see the counter. There's 746 subscribers. We were at 631 at the beginning of the year. We've been blowing up. I started doing a segment called Tony's Take, where I literally just give you my take on things that are going on. And people seem to like those. Normally our podcasts run like 2 hours. These are small, bite-sized things, 5-7 minutes or whatever. And people seem to like that, so it's helping us grow. And we also plan to bring in a number of, big guests throughout the year. So it's cool, man. I focused most of my energy on my writing. Now that that's pretty much established, I'm focusing more on the podcast too, so it's exciting, man. I absolutely love being in this industry. I wake up every day going, yo, I can't believe I'm going to wake up today, get to write gaming stories and get paid for it. It's nuts, man.
It is. And I echo it, man. I wake up every morning happy because I'm like, this is really cool, especially with our disabilities that we have. It makes it easy for us to be productive members.
Yeah, and here, I'm glad you're bringing. This is why I like being on our show, because you're one of the few cats in this industry that I can talk to about, not only the craft of it, but the disability part, right? Check this out. Right now in New York, it is like 5-6 inches of snow, right? I couldn't go to a normal job like right now, but guess what? 3 p.m. here, I finished my work day. I wrote a couple of stories and I'm good. So my disability doesn't impact the work I do, which is great, because for a bunch of years, it was hard to even try to get a job, because as soon as it snows, and it snows a lot in New York, I'd be done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Boot me out of the job. So now I don't have to worry about any of that. It could snow 50 inches, doesn't matter. I'm good.
He said, I don't care. I got it. I'm good.
No, but I'm glad you say that though, because I'm one of, I'm pretty sure you could vouch for this too. Every Sunday night, how most cats are like, oh man, I got to go to work tomorrow.
Absolutely.
I'm happy, man. I get to wake up on Monday and write about games, man. It's insane, man. I love it.
That's what I'm talking about. My man, the Dominican Dominator Tony Polanco in the house. My man, we look forward to chatting with you soon, all right?
All right, man. Peace.
That was the Dominican Dominator himself, Tony Polanco, joining me, giving his take on E3 and my take about what we all think is going to happen. But I hope it all works out. Remember, you can always connect with me, Paul, on wheels.com. Stay tuned. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk to a very, very bright mind when it comes to startup companies and what she's doing in the tech world, too. So we'll be back in 2 and 2 here on the Tech Zone. I am Paul Amadeus Lane.